para po siyang single proprietorship ka, pero meron kang limited liability. So, ang tanong, who can form a OPC? Okay, who are not allowed to form an OPC? Paano ba pinapatakbo ang OPC? Simpleng-simple po, in a OPC, dahil nga korporasyon po siya, it can go on forever. So generally, what are the requirements for OPC? Under the revised corporation code, this is a concept, no? A new organization. It's still a corporation known as a one-person corporation. Matagal na ito, in other jurisdictions meron tong ganitong concept. Pero for the Philippines, it was introduced only in 2019, no? When the revised corporation code was passed in February last year. So ano po itong one-person corporation? In a nutshell, OPC, or tinatawag nating OPC. So it is a special corporation with a single stockholder. So in short, para po siyang single proprietorship ka, pero meron kang limited liability. So it is a merger of two of the best situations, di ba? You have complete control over your business dahil ikaw lang yung may-ari, ikaw yung presidente, ikaw lang yung stockholder, and yet you have the protection of limited liability of a corporation. So, ang tanong, who can form a OPC? So, under the law, kailangan natural person. No? Hindi pwedeng existing corporation ang naandyan. Dapat natural person. So, tao talaga, di ba? A trust for an estate. Now, of course, he has to be of legal age, meaning sa atin dito, 18 years old, at least 18 years old. Okay, who are not allowed to form an OPC? Under the law, very specific, no? Yung restrictions. Yung mga bangko, non-bank financial institutions, quasi-banks, yung mga pre-need companies natin, insurance companies, public and publicly listed companies, non-chartered, government-owned and controlled corporations, and natural persons licensed to exercise a profession. So kung doktor kayo, gusto nyo mag-open ng clinic niyo, exercise your profession, or CPA lawyer, hindi pwede yun dahil specific restrictions yan. But for online businesses, pwede, di ba? Unless you fall under any of those restrictions. So, ang tanong, sunod na tanong, pwede bang mga foreigners mag-form ng OPC? Pwede. Pero subject to restrictions sa batas, no? Dahil meron tayong constitutional restrictions na hindi pwedeng mag-invest ang foreigners in certain investment areas. So halimbawa, kung if the business is to buy and develop land, meron tayong constitutional restriction na dapat 100% Filipino-owned yan. Things like that, no? So gaya ng sabi ko sa una, an OPC combines the best characteristics of a corporation and sole proprietorship. And that is limited liability and complete dominion. So again, this is just a reiteration. I want to emphasize this. Kasi in sole proprietorships, diba, personal assets of the owner are held to answer for any claims against the business. Whereas, pag naka-establish kayo ng OPC, dahil nga korporasyon siya, it is a personality distinct from the stockholder, and therefore, the stockholder's liability is limited only to the amount of capital invested. So, paano ba pinapatakbo ang OPC? Simpleng-simple po. Dahil isa lang yung stockholder, isa lang yung director, at siya rin yung presidente, siya yung magdidirect, no? The only requirement of the law is that you have to appoint a treasurer and a corporate secretary within 15 days from the issuance of your certificate of registration. Now, yung single stockholder, yung presidente, yung may-ari, can also opt, no? Nasabi niya, hindi, ako rin may-ari, ako na rin ang treasurer. Pwede po under sa batas, no? Ang requirement lang is you have to set up a bond uh, uh, with the SEC to answer for any claims that may be against the corporation, or as a protection or to a commitment to be true to your fiduciary interest as a treasurer. Pero yung secretary po, kailangan talagang mag-appoint kayo ng corporate secretary within 15 days from registration. So, sunod na tanong, ano bang mangyayari kung ang single stockholder is incapacitated or die? Kung nabaldado ka or namatay. Under a single proprietorship, tapos na, di ba? Wala nang ipapa-inherit pa, no? Pero in a OPC, dahil nga korporasyon po siya, it can go on forever. Wala po siyang, under the revised corporation code, wala na po tayong term limit. Dati po, 50 years lang ang korporasyon. Ngayon po, tinanggal na ho na yan ang batas, you can live forever. The corporation ay may forever na, no? So there is continuity. And in fact, at the time of incorporation, the single stockholder is required to designate a nominee and an alternate nominee. No? Ang purpose nun is pag may nangyari ng masama, namatay o nag-incapacitate yung original na may-ari, meron ng sasalo na nominee, no? who will continue to run the business until the estate is settled, na nabayaran niya yung estate tax sa BIR at nalipat yan sa kung sino man yung gustong successor. The nominee, in fact, can also be the successor of the OPC. So generally, what are the requirements for OPC? No? So ito lang, simple. You come up with a name, you submit the name online. Pag na-approve po yan, with the suffix OPC, then you can proceed to your application process where you will be asked to name the purpose, no, of your business. Mind you, it has to be a business. Hindi pwedeng non-stock dito. Business talaga siya. The purpose of your business purpose will be indicated there in the application form. You will be asked kung saan po yung gusto nyong principal office address ninyo. And then you will be made to name your nominee and alternate nominee. No, and the authorized capital stock of the OPC. No? And the last requirement is to indicate your fiscal year for purposes of, dahil nga korporasyon po ito, meron pong requirement that you have to file your yearly audited financial statements. Now, yung financial statements naman po niyan, huwag kayo matatakot dahil kung yung mga nag-umpisa pa lang at maliit pa lang ang kita, if your total assets or liabilities within the fiscal year, within the 12-month period of fiscal year mo, is less than 600,000 pesos, then we will accept just a treasurer's affidavit. Hindi na po kailangan i-audit. It is only when it is in excess of 600,000 pesos na kailangan ng audited financial statements. So, registration of OPC, this is just a general concept. Okay. Ito yung before I even go to the specifics, no. By the way, I have two buddies with me from SEC, si Miss Early Kabatik and si Marge Almasan, who are also online to take your questions if you have specific questions on the process of registration. But I want to emphasize here that the registration process at the SEC now, we are setting up an interim system to handle yung OPCs and less than 5 corporations or corporations with less than 5 incorporators. And the general concept that we're coming up with is this, that the registration process now compared to before is going to be based on trust. Ibig sabihin po, simple. We have a simple application form. We will ask you basic questions that are required under the forms, under the law. Metadata lang, you fill in the forms online, you submit them online. There will be no processing of human processing of your application. Meaning, we will take your we will trust you that you will certify that the information that you are sharing with us is true and correct, and we will make it pass through. Ibig sabihin po, pag na-fill up niyo yung forms, i-approve na namin yung certificate of registration ninyo. And we will just do post-audit. Ibig sabihin, after we issue the certificate of registration, saka na namin busisisihin kung talaga bang totoo yung mga sinasabi nyo. At kung meron pong mga serious misrepresentations or fraud that you committed in securing your certificate of registration, then we will not hesitate to revoke your certificate of registration. But for purposes of ease of doing business, no, ipapapass through namin yung application na yan, no. The particular steps can be discussed and can be asked later on, and can be discussed by my buddies online. So basically ganon. But before I leave, no, we also have in February, end of February this year, we launched a national business one-stop shop na mentioned ni Offie earlier at the SEC. And the intention there is for those who are not very entrepreneurs who may not be very tech savvy yet and may want help with face-to-face transaction. Meron kaming sinet up po sa SEC na pwede niyong puntahan, who will assist you, no, in setting up your OPC, in registering your OPC online. So meron talagang human processor doon mag-assist sa inyo. But dahil nga dito sa COVID crisis na ito, we just run it for 2 weeks and we had to close shop, no, kasi hindi naman pwedeng mag face-to-face. But once the community quarantine is lifted, then we will go on again.
Para sa mas marami pang video tungkol sa negosyo online at pagpaparehistro ng titulo online, mag-subscribe at i-click ang notification bell para updated ka sa videos na i-upload ko. Maraming salamat, hanggang sa muli.